Now we have a new job on today, and the new job is a wee bit more mechanical work on this 5460. I said I was going to make a couple of little improvements to it as I had it over the next couple of months, and I am. Today is certainly going to be one of those. And for starters, I see we have a new leak here. Where is that coming from? Right, we have a new leak under the tractor. We're going to have to figure out where that is coming from. So the first job we're going to do today is we're going to actually tackle the lights on it. Now the original lights in this tractor, they're fine, they're okay. But I found when I had the case and got the upgrade LED lights for it, I mean, it's such a difference when you're working in the shed. I didn't really pass that much remarks when you're out in the yard filling from the silage pit, but when you go into the shed, trying to keep an eye on cows' heads, especially when you're working with the shear grab, I just loved the LED lights, and a lot of people will understand that has them already will understand exactly what I'm talking about. So I was over in AutoSparky. AutoSparky sponsored the lights we put on the case that time and done a bit of work on our slurry tanker as well. And I was over with him. I was actually over changing the radio that I bought for the 7.6. I put a new radio in it when we bought it because I like to have a Bluetooth that connects with my phone. I'm a man that likes me music, love me music, and I like to be able to stream my music from my phone wirelessly into the radio, if that makes sense. I know it's a bit posh, but I do like my music and I do like to have that. It's very, very handy. And there are Prodigy's on and Def Leppard and just a nice cam and stuff. Anyway, the radio went faulty on it. It started beeping and making loads of the wrong sounds, and none of it was music, unfortunately. And I had to bring it back to him. It was on the warranty anyway, and he changed it out for a different one. But when I was over there, I actually asked him about an LED kit for this tractor here. I wanted to upgrade the lights on this to LED. That's what we done. Went over and I bought them. Yes, I bought the lights, but I'll tell you actually what we really did do. It's like two Cavan men get together. There's always a bit of stuff going on in the background. Would you leave me alone for a second? We actually done a bit of wheeling and dealing. Yeah, not dodgy stuff, just wheeling and dealing. So Alan knew in the shop that I had something for sale. I had talked to him about it before and he had his eye on it. And I wasn't using it, but he would love it. So we decided we'd do a little bit of a swap, if that makes sense. So a little bit of cash on the item that I exchanged back and forth. We have our lights in its place. I'm happy, he's happy, happy days. So that's the first job in hand. Let's get at it. Now, these are these lights. And they're supposed to pop straight in. So we'll pop this up here. See what way this sits first before we put in any wires. Sit her in because that's, yeah, looks about right. So there we are, that's the way they sit. I think they look very good. They're very, very like the originals. And that's what I like. Everything about them is like the originals. They're a seal unit, of course. But they do look tidy. So you are going to have to make a little bit of a modification on these. You're going to have to put a flat spade onto both so that it plugs directly into the block connector. And that's fine because you're not actually touching the block connector on the tractor, so you can always put your original lights back in, because I don't like particularly pulling wires apart and putting out dodgy connections, because I just don't like that kind of stuff. So 2 spade connectors on here. That's quite simple. All you're doing is modifying the light rather than the block connector is already in the tractor. Simple as that. And then we should be able to plug in our light into that. Just going to have a quick check to make sure this is working, because the rest of them will be exactly the same if it does, and if it is, then we're in business. I think that's the one, yeah, that's it. And we have no light. That means we have the wires on the wrong way around. Aha, we have light. Well, that's the beauty about the LEDs. You don't need me to tell you the difference. There's your difference right there. So the next thing left to do, get the rest of them on. So that's them on. I don't want to run my battery for too long or I'll have no tractor that'll start. Now it's time to address our backlights and our 2 side work lights. These are the work lights we got. They're, just in case you're wondering, 40 watt. All I need to do now is just plug this in and see will it work. There we go. There we are now, just compared to the other one, the other side. You can see that. Bingo. Now don't think I'm alone when I say I enjoy this bit. Right, so it's the following day. And another cracker, absolutely cracking day. Next job we're going to tackle. The front lights are quite poor on these. They are definitely quite poor on these. And to be honest with you, the reflectors on these are absolutely perfect. Probably someone changed these lights out not that terribly long ago because they look fairly new. But now that we've LEDs and everything else, I already have these ones already got here as well. I'm ready to install those. So let's do that. Lights over and out it goes. So these are the new lights I got in AutoSparky. Anyone wants to take a screenshot, that's them there. That's them there if you want to have a look at them. Take a screenshot if you want. Probably better off not touching the LEDs with your fingers if you can help it. If you can help it, is the word. I might have said it too soon. Get in there, will ya? There we go. So there we are, there's our full LED conversion. I'm only on the dips here at the minute, but I'll show them at night working and I'll show you the comparison because I did take a video there the other night of just with the normal lights on the silage bit, and I'll show you the difference. But I'm going to turn these off because they still work on a battery, although they're much easier on a battery, and that is a big benefit to LEDs. They are a lot easier on a battery. I was putting in silage last night, and normally when I put on the whole lights on the tractor, if I let the tractor kind of die down to it's just ticking over, the lights will slightly dim, then rev her up, the lights will pick back up again, and that's just all to do with the alternator. It's normal on a standard alternator when you have all the work lights on. But when the LEDs were on, it didn't do that. It takes far less power to run them, so they're not near as hard on the alternator or battery. Look at whether it's main power or 12 or 24 volts, it makes no difference. LEDs are way easier on power. Alright, so here's the tractor now before we do the LEDs on it. Just to give you a comparison, so we're looking here at the silage pit. And behind. So now we're going to see what it's like when we fit the LEDs. Here's with the LEDs on. Blinding light. Whoa, that is strong. How cool is that? On my 6470 when I had it, I done this very same job here, and the plug was sitting nicely underneath this, ready to connect in. Took only a few minutes to fit. Well, it's not like that on this one. There's no wire there at all. There's nothing to fit it to. So I made a quick phone call and I found out that I have to run a new cable the whole way in here, because there is a blank terminal in there. I'm hoping it's there, and all I have to do is extend it out to here, and the end that goes on my switch that looks like this here, that is already in the tractor, blanked off, ready to bring out here and fit onto this, in theory. Now if I hadn't known that, I mightn't have been as quick at doing it, but I still want to get it on. I'm not going to let it defeat me. If I have to take the engine out of the tractor, it's coming out. So let's get at it. Right, so the first thing to do is remove this panel here. Go. Yeah, so now we have a lovely big dusty mess in here, and I'll tell you what I will do with this when I have it opened. I'll run the hoover in there and clean that all out. But anyway, we should have a plug here somewhere. There definitely should be a plug here somewhere, I'm told, so I'm going to have to look for it here and find out where it is. Right, if you look in here in this jumble of wires in here, you'll find one here that has a loop in it. That's just sending the signal back, and that's it. That's the one we need to address, and we need to take this off here. We need to put a set of joiners on there, and we need to bring that out to the switch. Now there's loads and loads of ways you can connect wire. But I'm connecting this wire here now. Solder beats everything. These little connectors, they have a bead of solder right in the center, and they've got your shrink wrap on both sides. So when you put your joint into the middle and heat it up a little bit with a blowtorch or something like that, this solder here will melt, create a really good joint, and then the shrink wrap itself will join, seal tightly, waterproof on the wire itself, which is a great thing. These are mighty little connectors. There it is now. You see that joint has completely soldered inside. The solder is melted, and there you have a really good strong joint. Right, all we have to do now is connect into the back of this. There we are. Right, that's that fitted. Not that terribly complicated. Yes, it takes a little bit of time to strip things down inside, but it is fitted. There's only one thing to do now, and that's test to see does it work. So we'll turn on the tractor now, switch on the PTO, and see what we've got. All right, so now we have the PTO spinning. There it is there now. And we hit the stop button, it'll slowly grind to a halt. Now if you had something on the back of that working, like a slurry tanker or a topper or something like that, the minute you would hit that stop button, it would stop straight away. It's just there to be able to freewheel a wee bit, because there's nothing on the back of the tractor. But hey, it's a safe thing to have on the back of your tractor. That's how you fit it. It's not that terribly complicated. You just have to run a wire into that cab like I showed you. That's the stop button on there now. I'm glad to have that fitted. Alright, so we have pulled the kind of into the workshop here. I dare go any further. But we have to fix a couple of little bits and pieces now on this loader. Mentioned in a video before, a couple of simple little things we have to address, and one of which is these pins on both sides. They're all torn here now. This here is a kind of a circle cut in half, so half the circle is welded to the actual loader and the other circle is part of the pin. And when you push in the pin and tighten it here with a nut, that half circle just stops the pin itself rotating inside here. It looks very much to me like the pin was probably seized or something, and when someone went to turn it, it obviously just ripped itself apart because the pin wasn't fit to turn inside this here, and that just left the whole thing all broke. Now we have our pin all welded up and back in the shape it is supposed to be. But the only thing you'll notice is here, this is the side here that's badly damaged now. And if I don't fix that and build that up, what's going to happen is that's going to turn. This is so shallow, it's going to force this back out again. So I need to get the welder on and build this edge here back up again. So it's the same thickness as this here, and it's going to stop this from rotating. It's going to be a bit loud when I do that because I'm going to have to start the tractor just to protect the tractor. When you're welding, you should always have the tractor started, or at least have the alternator disconnected and the battery when you're working on the tractor, because you can do a lot of harm with a welder. So that's the next section we're going to do. Let's get at it. We have that fixed, and it actually turned out really well. There we have now, we have a better housing around here. I've actually built the whole thing up with weld to make it much stronger, and now the far side meets it just perfectly, so it's not going to push past this here anymore. All grinded down and looking neat enough. Alright, I'm not going to paint it or do anything with it because remember this whole loader's been sandblasted and painted anyway, so I don't need to touch any of that. But that is much better. That'll be strong now and it shouldn't turn again. As you can see as well, it's taking grease. It was taking grease before, but it's taking grease there now. I'm going to clean that all up there and use that for something else, but that's it back on. I'm just going to do the very same now on this side here. It's a bit awkward, it's a wee bit tighter in rim, so it's just the very same thing again. So when we have that all done and put back together, then we're going to start just repairing this little bracket here. So yeah. So that's that job done. Now, our pins, that's not going to move for definite. That's nice and solid there. Yeah, no movement going to happen there. We have our 2 new bolts on that. At least we can take it off anytime we want. I'm not going to bother priming or painting or touching any of that stuff that I welded, because I'm getting all sandblasted anyway and repainted, so it'll all be done at the one time. I just want to make sure everything is fixed and working right. Them 2 pins that I took out, there's very little wear on them, so they don't really need to be replaced. 2 accumulators that we put in for our soft drive, we probably will put 2 new ones on, just be done with it, because they're as old as the hills. And there's a few pipes as well, especially on the head of the shear grab here, we're going to have to replace too. But all in all, not a whole pile has to be done to it. So I'm happy with them few upgrades, and now we can turn our PTO off as well, leaving it much safer to use. A lot of people ask me about the camera on the loader. The camera is sitting on a shelf in my garage. I'm going to put it back on the loader very soon, and that's definitely going back on 110%. Anyway, this is normally the time where I say, if you like what you see, give us a sub, all that kind of crack. I'm not going to do that today, because today in my locality there's after been a young guy buried, and it's after been an awful tragedy in the week. I know the school, secondary school, which is beside me, was closed today, Friday, and rightly so, because there's an awful lot of friends of this young lad Killian, who unfortunately is no longer with us. And what I've seen today was just undescribable. The amount of young people, I know a lot of them are watching my channel as well, so I said it. I originally wasn't going to say anything, but I just said, you know what, I'll address it at the very end. A really nice lad, seemed to be really well got. The amount of young people over there, they're absolutely distraught today. A mother and father that are absolutely distraught as well, and the family. Very hard to look at. Unfortunately, it's becoming really common now, and I don't know why, and nobody seems to understand or have an answer for it. But I will say one thing, and I'm just going to leave it on this. If you ever have a problem in life, no matter what it is, talk to someone about it. Do not keep it to yourself. We're all going through things. Everybody goes through real bad times. I've went through them. I'm sure you that's watching me have went through them as well at some stage. We just sometimes keep them to ourselves. But we're in a modern day age now where a lot of people are willing to listen now, so it should be getting better. So talk to someone if you're not feeling your best. At the moment, my dad, for instance, he's not well now. He's actually in hospital at the minute. He's making a recovery, but he just wasn't well his past few days, and it made it quite difficult for me to actually make today's video, because I wasn't really feeling it. Thankfully he's making a recovery again, but it just knocks you off your track. So little things like that, you know. So there's always stuff going on in people's lives. I made a smile in front of the camera because I want to give you a nice positive video that you're watching, and hopefully you'll enjoy. But we're not always smiling inside, and it's quite normal to be like that. That's just being human. None of us are perfect. If you need help, ask someone for a bit of help, or talk to someone, because a problem shared is a problem halved. I'm going to put a few links up in the description of today's video of places you can contact if you're not feeling your best or just need someone to chat to. It's all going to be there in the video, so make use of it. If you need it, use it. That's what them people are there for, and they're only too happy to talk to you. I promise you, you'll feel much better for it. So I never want to see any other family ever go through what I've seen today, family and friends. It's just, there's no words can describe it. If you want to comment on the tractor, the lights, whatever you want to comment on, you can comment as normal, but I will ask you to do me a favour. Remembrance of Killian, all his friends and what his family are going through at the moment, and not only for him but for others all over the country that have been dealing with something similar. In the comment section below today, and you can put your comment, no problem at all, but at the end of your comment or at the beginning of your comment, put an emoji of a candle or write the word candle, just as a remembrance, and that we're thinking of people that are going through tough times at the minute. Thanks very much for watching. As always, we'll catch you in the next one.